If our only barometer is how am I doing compared to the other healthcare systems, we've narrowed the opportunity of how good the experience could be.
Julie, I'm so excited to have the opportunity to connect with you today.
It's good to see you.
You too.
And it's good to have a good conversation.
You have this fabulous background that I'm hoping you can teach our audience about, and then talk to me about what that brings into healthcare.
The career path has been one primarily in a consumer packaged goods and retail set of industries and companies. And whether that's being a brand manager all the way up to a chief marketing officer, as well as product innovation and thinking about strategy. So I'm excited about transferring skills as well as some learnings from my past life into my present life.
I remember you telling me in your history that you had stepped into Trinity as the Chief Marketing and Communications Officer, and then this Chief Customer role really evolved because you saw synergy around it. Talk to me how you see all of those coming together and how you really stepped into that role.
As the opportunity presented itself, when we think about the experience is a delivery of someone's promise. If I promise to get something to you in 30 minutes, if I promise you a good night's sleep, well, if I promise you an excellent care experience, who better to connect those two than the person telling the story? So I know what I said I would do. I'm just now also charged to how we will do what I promised. And so it's a great connectivity, and I think it brings forward my desire to build relationships, whether it's with clinicians, as well as with our consumers, as we call members, making sure that everybody is a part of the storyline that I'm telling in an amplified way, not just in the commercial, but actually in the care.
Many other people are thinking like you are. Leaders across the globe or the nation are like, wow, I know I have to do these regulated programs, and I'd really like to do something different. What considerations would you offer for other leaders who are right on the cusp of thinking about taking that leap, but still feel somewhat tied to the classic way of doing things?
HCAPs require us to listen from a regulatory standpoint. Did you do A, B, and C? And so those are important, but I move toward a more plentiful mindset of and. So I need to do those things, but I should also do something else. I'm hoping that we're able to accelerate the conversation, whether it's from real-time surveys that we get to ask versus just mailing in things. How do we find the heartbeat sooner to make an earlier diagnosis of what's going right and what's going wrong in the experience so that we can actually make it better, if not make it truly excellent for those that we seek to serve? One of the most powerful questions you can ask is why, but the other question is why not? When you know there's something else out there, why not consider it?
One of the things that you and I have talked about is this notion that you can listen, but listening without action is really half a strategy.
Sure.
Talk to me about how important that action piece is and how you're hoping to deliver that piece.
As we were looking at the vaccine, we created a program called It Starts Here. And the idea was we had Black, Latinx, and Asian Americans not receiving the vaccine. One was access and the other one was hesitancy. And so we said, we're gonna move forward and do our part to bring information as well as awareness and access to our consumers and to communities. And so we listened. We were able to reach vulnerable communities, people who were homeless, people who were on the margins of life, that you want to make sure that they too have access to the very thing that would be saving lives. And so we did that. We listened hard. We executed. However, what I would love to be able to say we did was after we gave 165,000 doses, that I knew who they were and knew how to build a relationship with them. And that's listening with action. I listened, I solved, but I didn't action a relationship. And so I am excited about what Qualtrics brings in capabilities and partnership that helps us move beyond just execution of the problem solution to something that's lasting, and that we would be able to have a lifetime of conversations with those that we're serving.
Bravo. We certainly saw how difficult it was to reach both with access to information as well as access to the vaccine, many different populations. So congratulations on your work. You have this great way of framing up, thinking about consumer and member, that journey of how do we get to keeping our brand promise and building evangelists for Trinity, as opposed to the transactional world that healthcare often sits in. Can you walk us through some of your thinking around that?
When we first encounter, say, Trinity Health, it's based on a need. So at that particular point, in my mind, you're a customer. You're seeking a solution for what ails you or whatever it is that you're trying to get information about. But over a true journey, there are many different touch points that you have with us. It's from a moment and an episode to a continuum of relationship, because I think the first part was a transaction. I bought, I sold, I had a need, you solved. But what I see for us is something that is relational, where I can actually be with you to help prevent something, not just to cure an ailment or an issue. And so that's what I'm hoping, is that we move from transactions and episodes to actually long-time relationships, so that I have ambassadors and advocates in the brand of Trinity Health because of what we gave to them in the care of their family members or of themselves.
And to your point, what a beautiful opportunity to leverage technology to personalize that journey, both for members, as you say, or customers, as well as our own people. And if I'm hearing you right, it sounds like you're hoping that as we understand those emotional touch points across time, we can design processes, systems, touches that feel meaningful at the right time for the right person to have the right impact.
When you think of whether it's the physician or even if it's me in system office and headquarters, it gets to a quote that's most often given to Maya Angelou. And she says, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." That's where the emotive part of our system has to be better. It's not just the IQ, it's the EQ that's critical. So we must be good at both. So we're shoring up our muscles and understanding what data does and how fast we can get it, but also what does it mean, such that when we bring it to you, it's brought in a customized way that says it was about your story and not the general story. To me, that's the power of where the tangible and intangibles and what Qualtrics is bringing is allowing us to listen, if you will, with both ears, the scorecard dashboard side, but the comments and the insight side. And so I'm looking forward to tuning in a little bit deeper to what actually is being shared with us.
It also has to make sense to the end users, which are our members and employees and staff, who are showing up with beautiful intent every day, are trying to be their best every day, and sometimes don't really understand how to impact these scores, and are, quite frankly, exhausted by some of the traditional ways of measurement.
That's exactly right. And everybody's not the same, right? So in our early conversations with Qualtrics, one of the things we talked about, it was a make-believe. For anybody who has the name Amelia, that's the name we had, but she was the one that was on this journey.
She had an amazing journey.
She had an amazing journey. More things happened to poor Amelia than we would ever want anybody to go through. But in her journey, Qualtrics helped us see how all of the data wasn't relevant for everyone. What I mean by that is the nurse that's on the front line needs to be able to extract data from the Qualtrics insights and database to basically just answer what that question is. But what the president of the hospital was seeking was a completely different dashboard that they received. That's the difference maker, is having the power of the information to be sliced such that you get it the way you need it in the bite size that you want, but also for me to get it in the need, so that we all do our respective roles much better based upon the data.
And that's actually personalization at its core, right? I learn a certain way. I'm a visual person. We should know this about our members.
Yes.
And be able to tailor information that way as we deliver insights, feedback, modifying, reinforcing, so they can show up and be their best selves. Part of your work as a leader is to inspire, but also compel people to act a little beyond what's in their job description. You have this amazing song that you told me about.
Yes.
I won't put you on the spot to sing, but would you share some of the message?
Yeah, so the lyrics, I actually learned it in our youth group. So that's how long I've been carrying this song in my heart. It's that sometimes we make the challenges and the opportunities harder than they need to be to engage. And so the song is entitled, "It Only Takes a Spark to Get a Fire Going." And the words go on to say, when that happens soon, all those who are around will warm up in its glowing. And so the concept is it doesn't take a lot to build momentum, but someone has to give the spark. And so I have a feeling that the partnership that we now have is the spark that might ignite something bigger than we could have ever imagined.
You had an opportunity to really think about who you wanted to partner with. You had many choices of who might be a partner to really bring that personalized experience into the future for your members. Why Qualtrics?
As we talk to Qualtrics, as we talk to your current client base to say, how was your experience and what happened in a transition? You're very good at change management and helping us navigate our way into what we don't know we're about to encounter. But then you're helping us think bigger, to strategize around the possibilities of serving not just in a hospital or acute care setting, but how do I evaluate the care and the experience in a connected journey? Mm-hmm. And I think that was the other piece, is the analytics and the data is one thing, but the insight and the application, it's putting the information to work. And that's what we saw that Qualtrics was able to do.
If in 10 years, we kill this, we get this right, not literally kill it,
right,
but we knock it out of the park together. That work happens in the partnership and at Trinity. How do you hope people feel, and what would that look like in your dreams?
It would look like all of the voices have actually been brought in together that makes this beautiful sound. It's when data is connected such that I'm able to help prevent things, not just cure things. It's when health equity is true. I want people to see bigger. When I was growing up, it was amazing to get the Crayola box of 8 crayons. But boy, when we found out there was a 64 box, it was as though it was Christmas, whatever day that was. Imagine if the pictures we draw and color together use 64 crayon colors versus the 8. I would hope in 10 years that we found so many more colors because we listened harder. We actually courageously activated. And we talk about partnering at Trinity a lot, but what if we invited more people to be engaged in the conversation and in the work? Wouldn't that be a little bit easier, and wouldn't it be better, especially if it's even inclusive of the people that we're seeking to serve?
Love that.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to dreaming big with you.
The feeling is very mutual.